This is Talkin Hoopz, the show that discusses real NBA stories, gives you all the latest rumors, and gets you into heated debates.
It's dunks and layups. How many of his points have been jump shots? 0.
Not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5.
0.
It's not happening. Not in this NBA. Maybe in the fantasy NBA that they're playing in, but not in this NBA.
We're going to challenge each other in practice.
We talking about practice, not a game.
Once the game starts, it's going to be easy.
You better get off whatever you're smoking.
Strap in, get your popcorn, put your headphones on.
This is Talkin Hoopz.
It's Rudy Gay checking out Talkin Hoopz. Talkin Hoopz.
Talkin Hoopz, the official talk show of NBRPA Miami.
Talkin Hoopz starts right now.
Talkin Hoopz, talkinhoops.com. AJ, Kyle, as always, with you for the show. NBRPA Miami chapter, nbrpamiami.com. Check them out. Big trade happening yesterday. Rudy Gay, now a King. Kobe Bryant returns to basketball action on Sunday. Knicks get blown out. That's a story by itself. That's crazy. Steven Jackson, now a member of the Los Angeles Clippers. Are the divisions going to disappear? Adam Silver weighs on that and much more. But getting right into the show, Kyle, how was your weekend, man?
Weekend was all good, man. Everything is good. It's snowing right now in New York, or it was snowing at least most of the day. And if you were waiting for the big reveal, boom. You may notice there's no Talkin Hoopz logo behind me. Apartment's under a little renovations. I threw some artwork up instead. So as soon as I figure out where my Talkin Hoopz office is going to be, that's when the logo will return.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm honest. I'm looking at that right now. I was really worried about that. So I'm glad that we got that situated, that you got pictures up there now, and
art.
Everything looks nice. I'm so glad the whole world now knows about the inside of your apartment.
Banksy. Banksy art.
Yeah, I like the Grizzlies hat.
That means I'm cool and hip.
I like the Grizzlies hat. They were terrible in Vancouver, though. They were so bad.
Well, speaking of the Rudy Gay trade, right, this is the team that he came from. Not the Vancouver ones, but the Memphis ones, right?
Yeah.
You know, they were the first ones to say, hey, Rudy Gay doesn't fit into our system. They shipped him off to Toronto, and now Toronto is under a whole new regime.
Right.
And they're trying to clear their books, and now Rudy Gay is gone from there.
Right.
And he wasn't working out. The team wasn't good. They were sort of in rebuilding mode. And when you're in rebuilding mode, you don't need a guy who is making as much money as Rudy Gay does. And Rudy Gay he takes too many shots. He takes too many shots and doesn't score enough points. That's his whole problem. He takes a ton of shots, and his field goal percentage is way down. And anytime you have that, that's just a combination for disaster. Huh. So, he's averaging 19 points per game.
7 rebounds. It's not that great for him considering how many shots he's taking and everything. But look, he's Rudy Gay. He's still a star.
He is scoring 19 points per game, right? And when you look at that, you're like, wow, those are good numbers, 19 and 7. But he's attempting 18 shots per game.
Right.
He's attempting on the season 18 shots a game, and he's only scoring 19 points.
Right.
That's not good.
Right.
He's shooting 38% from the field. If you're a superstar of the team, right, because Rudy Gay was like the superstar of the Toronto Raptors, right?
Right.
And even when he was in Memphis, he was sort of like the alpha dog there, I guess. Everybody looked at Rudy Gay, he played for Team USA.
Right.
So he has all these credentials. But when you take a closer look at the numbers, you're like, well, wait a minute. 18 shots a game, 19 points, 38 field goal percentage, 37 three-point field goal percentage. And he's putting up three-pointers a game, so it's not like he's only taking one a game.
Right.
Not good numbers. Not good numbers across the board. But I will say this. Playing now with DeMarcus Cousins and playing with Derek Williams, which is a whole other experiment that they traded for from Minnesota. We have to see how that turns out. Derek Williams had a career night the other night, 31 points, right?
Yeah.
So he had a career night.
He tore it up.
We're going to see how Rudy Gay plays now on a team with another superstar. Because in Memphis, Zach Randolph, he's a great player. I don't know if anybody in the league says Zach Randolph superstar.
Not anymore.
Right?
Maybe at one point. Not anymore, though.
And when he was in Memphis, Marc Gasol wasn't the Marc Gasol of now, right? Marc Gasol was good, but he was the up-and-coming guy in the league. Like, everybody knew he was going to be really, really good.
Right.
And now I know he's hurt now, but now he's really, really good.
Right.
And the same thing with Mike Conley. I think it took, when he was on the team with Mike Conley wasn't where he's at now.
Right.
So he was the alpha dog of that squad before he was traded.
Right.
And now he goes to Toronto. And again, DeRozan, up-and-coming, very good player.
Right.
But he's not DeMarcus Cousins.
Look, I think Toronto's they're doing something specific. All right, they made that trade. Everyone said for cap reasons. Maybe Rudy Gay and DeMar DeRozan weren't fitting in right together. They get Grievous Vasquez, who's a good point guard.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about how Rudy Gay is going to be alongside of another superstar.
See, I think.
That's what I'm curious about seeing, because throughout Memphis and Toronto, he hasn't had that. He hasn't played alongside another superstar.
I don't think. I think in Toronto, DeMar DeRozan was the closest thing he had to a superstar.
Right.
And when you look at Sacramento and you said DeMarcus Cousins, I think this guy, despite his numbers, despite what we talked about, he really is a pretty solid player. I mean,
no, he's a superstar.
He's Rudy Gay. You still think he's a superstar?
DeMarcus Cousins is a superstar.
No, but I'm saying Rudy Gay. I think he could seriously contribute a lot to. I think scoring wise, he can give Sacramento a lot. He gives them 7 rebounds. He's another option. I don't think the Kings really had another option next to DeMarcus Cousins, and they had Isaiah Thomas coming off the bench, who's having a really good season, a breakout season. But I think this gives Sacramento a much more serious option than if DeMarcus Cousins is out. You have a guy that can easily put the ball in the basket. I know he takes a lot of shots, but he is a proven star in the league, Rudy Gay. It's not like people are sleeping on this guy. He's well known. Everyone knows what he's capable of doing. He's extremely athletic. I'm still a Rudy Gay fan. Is he a black hole? Yes, but I like the coaching staff. Mike Malone's got some homework to do with how this is going to work. But I think this is the type of player the Kings needed, and he was available. The Raptors needed to get rid of him. So I think I don't hate the trade for Sacramento. I really don't.
No, it's look, if you're Sacramento, you're looking at it as you really don't have anything to lose. I mean, the team that you have now is not going to compete for a championship. And the guys that you got rid of are franchise players. They're not core players. They're guys that you can do without. Right. I know they just signed Grievous Vasquez in the offseason, and he was a 6th Man of the Year candidate.
Right.
But he wasn't panning out. It wasn't working, and he was clearly being overshadowed by the bench guy and Isaiah Thomas. And every 6th man in the league should be happy right now about that trade, because Isaiah Thomas, in my opinion, was the 6th Man of the Year candidate, leading candidate.
Yeah.
And if he's not leading, then he's top 2 or 3.
Right.
And now he's going to be the starter, and he's going to be all alone, and that takes him out of the bench role. So every 6th man in the league now has a chance to win this thing.
Right.
And I think it gives Ben McLemore some more freedom to play, because with Vasquez and Isaiah Thomas, you're not going to have the problem with one plays to 1 and one plays to 2.
Yeah.
Now Ben McLemore can be on the floor the whole time.
Right.
And he can get and look, he won Rookie of the Month, and he is going to be a very good player. I don't know how good.
Right.
He could be an all-star one day.
Right.
But now he's going to get the minutes to prove himself.
Well, and it's funny because we talked about Sacramento at the beginning of the season, and you were like, if now's the time to do something, break up those 2 point guards, get some talent in return. In my opinion, okay, forget the other pieces in the deal. You got rid of John Salmon's contract, and you traded Grievous Vasquez, which is what we said to do, because Isaiah Thomas is clearly the guy now. Right. And you trade Grievous Vasquez for Rudy Gay. I'm looking at that as a great deal for Sacramento. Did they give up Patrick Patterson? Yes. Chuck Hayes, is he the greatest player in the world? Can he contribute to a team? Yes. But is he oh my God? He was more of a throw-in, I think, in this deal. And wow, it's getting crazy here. You hear those sirens and everything? Anyway.
I don't hear them. But if they coming to arrest you?
All right. Anyway.
Are they coming to arrest you?
Yeah, I didn't do anything.
Because I'm going to go get food if we're going to end the show right now.
No. Anyway. No, but I think it's big that Grievous Vasquez was moved, and they got good talent for him. Rudy Gay is a talented player. All right? He is. He's just a very good player.
Look, now is the time. If you're the Kings, now is the time to make the deal. If you're in a win-now situation and you want to win now, or you want to at least begin competing, You got to do it. You
Right.
traded a bunch of role players and guys that probably have fallen out of favor and out of the system. And John Salmons, he's been there for a long time and it's not working out.
Right.
And Patrick Patterson, it's not worked out. You know, these guys haven't really panned out. Why not go for it? I mean,
Right.
Sacramento King fans have been waiting for this.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rudy Gay shoots a terrible field goal percentage and he takes a lot of shots. But you know what? Fans are going to be excited.
Yeah.
Fans are going to be stoked. You got Derek Williams. What was Derek Williams? The number 2 or 3 draft pick?
2.
Number 2 draft pick a few years ago.
Yeah.
Now you have the number 2 draft pick in the league. You've got DeMarcus Cousins, who's a superstar on the face of the
You got
franchise.
Ben McLemore.
You bring in Rudy Gay, who's another superstar. If I'm a Kings fan, I am stoked that my team is finally prepared to take the next
Right.
step. Because how long have the Kings been bad for?
No, right,
And I
no,
think the
totally
last time they were
agreed.
good was when Bloody Divac was on the
Totally
team.
agreed. And I think this core group of guys with Gay now, you have a veteran star, you have DeMarcus Cousins, who's starting to get it together. He looks unbelievable, and like we said, had a big game. And you got Isaiah Thomas, up-and-coming point guard, one of your favorite players in the NBA. I mean, those 3 guys alone are a great core to build around. At 3 different positions, you got a great point guard, you got a great small forward / power forward, because he could probably play multiple positions, and you got a great center power forward in DeMarcus Cousins. And they may still not be done dealing. You could still trade Jason Thompson. I mean, there's things you could do with the Kings. So, yeah, I think the Kings are in a great situation. I think this was a great trade. And I think for fans, like you said, they needed this for sure. They 100% needed this.
And now if you're Toronto, it's kind of like, well, what's next? Because they're totally deconstructing this team. Piece by piece. It started in the offseason. Now Gay is gone. Is DeRozan going to be traded? That's something that we have to see. I think Novak is going to try and be dealt before the deadline. I think Landry Fields will definitely try and be dealt. I mean, he's making $6 million this year and $6 million next year.
Right.
So I look for Novak and Landry Fields to go. Kyle Lowry, he's in the last year of his deal. As
Right.
good as Kyle Lowry is playing, you have to make the decision now. Are
Yeah.
we signing this guy to an extension? Are we risking him in free agency?
Well, now
Or are
you're
we
in the
gonna
Kings
deal him
scenario.
now?
Now they're in the Kings scenario where it was Isaiah Thomas and Grievous Vasquez. Now they have Grievous Vasquez. Do you really need Kyle Lowry? Why don't you test the market with him? Or well, I don't know what the rule. I forget what the rule is. I don't think Grievous Vasquez is able to be traded right away.
No,
But
you can't trade him right away.
but
But
either way,
Kyle Lowry can be traded.
and that never used to be the rule. I don't know exactly how that happened, but I remember Rasheed Wallace was traded to the Hawks from the Blazers, played 1 game for the Hawks, and then the next day at the deadline traded to Detroit back when the Pistons won the championship. So I don't know. I guess those rules changed that you can't trade a player once he's just come to the team. I don't know how that works, but. I mean, again, they're in a scenario. Do they go forward with Grievous Vasquez, or do they look to trade him for talent? Because both those guys are pretty solid point guards. I like Lowry.
You can't trade Grievous Vasquez. You can't
Can't
trade
trade
him. So it doesn't
Grievous-
matter. That's off the table.
Right, okay. Until the summer, at least. Until the summer.
Right. Well, we're talking about now because they have to make a decision on Kyle Lowry is having an excellent year. For those who don't know,
He's a big guard, too. He's a big
He's having a very, very good season. He's having a solid year. And I think that if you look at the Raptors and what they're trying to do, which is obviously deconstruct and start over.
Right.
Lowry is a free agent, like I said. He's only making $6 million this year. He's
Right.
averaging 14 points, almost 15, and 6 assists, which is good. 15 and 6. All right, let's say 15 and 6. There's a lot of teams that need a point guard. Okay, Raymond Felton is struggling in New York, and Amon Shumpert is a possible trade candidate. Maybe the Knicks try and dangle Felton and Shumpert for Lowry.
Right.
You know, Goran Dragic is another point guard that's available. But the Raptors have to make a decision on Lowry. So I see Lowry, Novak, Landry Fields, possibly DeRozan. They're all gone, in my opinion.
Right.
I think all these guys are getting traded. By the time the trade deadline comes and goes, the Raptors will have a 90% different look than when they did when they opened the season.
Yeah.
And that's crazy. But this is what he felt needed to be done. The GM, Masauji, or however you say his name, I always get it wrong. He came in and he started cleaning house right away, right? He came in, he traded Bargnani to the Knicks. He started there. Now it's on to Rudy Gay. Who is the next piece to fall in Toronto? So if I'm a Raptor fan, I'm cautiously optimistic. I'm going to put my faith in the GM and say, hey, you did good in Denver. Please do right by us.
Right.
So only time will tell how it pans out there. Like I said, if I'm a Kings fan, I'm stoked.
Right.
Got another superstar on the team. Now I can play 2K with another guy. I'm excited. I think for both teams it was a good move, but for Toronto it's more for the future. For the Kings it's more for now.
Yeah. No, totally agree. And now let's shift. Let's get off the Kings. Rudy Gay is a King. It's a great time for Sacramento fans, but it's not a great time for Knicks fans. And I know we keep going back to the Knicks, and it's on the schedule to talk about them, but there's not much to talk about. Again, they're so good and they're so bad.
There's a ton to talk about.
Terrible.
There's a ton of stuff to talk about. They just suffered their third worst home loss in franchise history to a team that was projected to be one of the worst in the league.
Right.
This is a team that has literally not one, forget about superstar, I mean star. If you go around and say, can you name me one Boston Celtic who's playing, because Rondo is not playing, so they can't say Rondo. If you go to a person and say, give me one Celtic fan, one Celtic player, they're not going to pull out Jared Sullinger on you. Right? They're not going to pull out the Avery Bradley card.
Right.
Jordan Crawford, they're going to hear Jordan and think Michael Jordan or Jamal Crawford. They don't even know that Jordan. These guys are playing under a rookie NBA head coach and are outperforming the Brooklyn Nets, who are maxed out roster, the New York Knicks, who are a maxed out roster, and both teams were supposed to compete in the East. They are playing so much better than people expected.
Jordan Crawford, player of the week.
For the Knicks to have a home game and playing so poorly, and then to finally come home again and start a new track, they had a 2-game winning streak, to start a new road, they get smacked by Boston.
It's a real
problem. You gotta be kidding me. This team is in total disarray. The head coach, Mike Woodson, does not seem to have control. And players need to be held accountable. And they're not. They're not being held accountable.
I think
if I'm Mike Woodson and this team isn't performing,
if you watch the last game,
new starting lineup.
If you watch the last game and you saw when the team was doing bad, when just stupid things started to happen, he didn't really have a reaction. He kind of just stood out there and watched. Every single time he called a timeout, there was no emotion. There was no yelling. He was frustrated. To me, he was yelling at the wrong people. He was getting in Tim Hardaway Jr.'s face, and I don't know why he even needed to talk to him.
He'd rather complain about the refs not giving Carmelo Anthony a call than going to Carmelo Anthony and saying, try again. You know what I mean? He's complaining about the refs on radio stations, and they're complaining about Melo not getting the superstar call. But at the end of the day, you got to get a W. And if you're not getting the call, then you need to figure out another way. You can't blame the refs. Right. That's not a viable excuse.
I don't like just sitting there watching a team and just not even having a reaction to it, not showing any emotion. You're just out there with your mind blown. You're just in shock because of what's going on. And I think as a coach, you can't be like that. You gotta start looking at different ways to discipline your team. If a guy's not playing hard, pull him out. If the ball's not moving, then make the ball move. You got to get back to that. Right off the bat, after such great ball movement in the last two games against Brooklyn and Orlando, and then you come out against Boston and the ball doesn't move at all. It just makes no sense. No sense whatsoever.
No, it does make sense because that's their scheme. You may have seen like the minority of their offense. If you've seen the ball move, it was by accident. Okay? If the ball moved in those games, that wasn't the plan. Because their scheme all along from under Mike Woodson, since Melo has been with Mike Woodson,
isolate Carmelo
Melo has the ball and Melo does what he has to do. And last year it worked. So nobody said anything. You can't say anything if you're putting up wins. But this year it's not working.
No, Woodson said after a practice that they're trying to get Melo to move the ball a lot more. He said that after they won in Brooklyn. And, they came out against Orlando and they won. And then again, against Boston, it just kind of stopped. And you heard the fans yelling to pass the ball. Adam Sandler was sitting there like just probably mind blown as well. I came to see a Boston Celtics-Knicks game and I just watched the Knicks get torched by 41 points. I mean, that's crazy.
If Mike Woodson is saying we're trying, if those were his direct words, we're trying to get Melo to move the ball, then there's your answer right there. If you're the coach, you don't try. You tell Melo, hey man, look, I'm the coach, you got to move the ball.
Right.
There's no
He's gotta
try
move
to
the
move the ball.
He's got to move
I don't
the
care
ball.
how much money you make. I don't care if you're a superstar.
I mean,
on the
Melo
team.
came
If
out
you're
and said,
losing,
Melo
it
even
doesn't
came
make
out and
sense.
said, though, if he moves the ball, the team does better. He was going to try it. That he even said in one of his post-game interviews, I believe against the Nets, and then he did it again against Orlando. And these are quotes from Carmelo Anthony. That's what he was saying. Team play better when I move the ball, so I'm changing it up. All the post writers were even talking about it. Looks like Melo finally got it. Looks like the Knicks finally get it. Melo moves the ball, the Knicks are going to win. So I don't know. Let's see how they come out tonight against the Cavs. Let's see how that game goes. I know that tipped off at 7, but we'll see. We'll see.
I just they're playing now. I think it's like 13-7. The Knicks are down. But if your team isn't performing and if Raymond Felton isn't playing well, bench him. If J.R. Smith is not playing well, bench him. There's no point of just keep banging your head against the same wall. That's what he's doing. He's running out there with the same lineup over and over and over again, and you're getting the same result over and over again. For the Knicks to have 2 home wins, or think about that. What are they? 17 games into the season?
Yeah, just about.
Something like that?
Yeah.
You got 2 home wins? You've got to be kidding me. You're in New York. You have a max roster. You've brought in all these guys. If you want to talk about
19.
championships, which
19
James Dolan
games.
was, you can't have 2 home wins. It's not fair to the fans. Knicks fans have been suffering for too long. It's just not fair to them. It's not fair for this to continue. And you know what? It's a culture. And I know that they come out in the papers and say, this is unacceptable.
Yeah.
We have to do better. We have to do better. But that's been the same story for 10 years. And it has not improved.
Says the Knicks fan in a Grizzlies
They made
hat.
the playoffs last year as an improvement. They got smacked in the second round. That's not an improvement to me.
Says the Knicks fan in a Grizzlies hat.
Look, I'm an NBA fan. I am a Knicks fan, but I'm also an NBA fan.
Right.
But it's just not fair for Knicks fans to continue to go through this. You got to change it. And like I said, look, if you haven't caught the show last 2 weeks, Melo, you can't risk him walking out in free agency.
Right.
If this guy continues to say, look, I'm not going to talk about it, but he's already said that he wants to explore free agency, that's all the information I need to know. I'm not winning. My superstar has hinted that he wants to leave. I have all the variables in the equation.
I think the Knicks, if Raymond Felton, I like Felton, but he's not been consistent this year. He was great when he first came to the Knicks with Amari. He played really well. We've not seen that same player, I think, since he's been back in New York, since he left
Last
New York.
season he had a good year. I mean, he had a great year.
Solid,
but he played well.
a solid year. And then he
Yeah.
fell off when he had that injury. He started to fall apart again. But that's what
Right.
I mean. Is this guy in shape? Is he dealing with injury problems?
I don't
What
know
is
if
his
he's hurt.
deal?
He might
But
be playing hurt.
You need a point guard to run this team. And there are rumors that Carmelo Anthony has been talking to Rondo about maybe coming to New York in 2015 if Melo is even still here. That's the rumors. That's what people are talking about. But getting a good point guard for this team at this point in time, that may not be a bad way to go right now. Or look to trade for one. Or rebounding. Knicks, although some of the games they've been losing, it's not like they've been getting destroyed. They're losing the rebounding matchup in some of these games by like 2-3 rebounds. I don't really know if that really factors into anything. But if the Knicks need rebounding, if they need it that bad, a Seek's available, but they got to make some trades or adjustments, especially if they don't win tonight. Especially if they don't win tonight.
I kind of don't think Asik is the answer for the Knicks because it's kind of like the deal with him and Dwight Howard. It's going to be him and Tyson Chandler.
Right.
He has to be the center. He's not a power forward.
Right.
And I don't think that coming to New York is going to change anything unless the Knicks, trade, unless it's like a 3-team deal where Asik goes to New York, Tyson Chandler goes somewhere else.
Right.
But I wouldn't trade Tyson Chandler for Asik. I think that's a downgrade. The Knicks are lacking in rebounding, but when Tyson Chandler comes back, it's going to be a different story. So I don't think Asik is the answer there. I do think that what they need is a point guard. I think their point guard is play has been atrocious. Felton has not been good. Prigioni gets the ball movement going, but he doesn't provide anything on offense, like zero on offense, really. I mean, he almost never scores. So you got that problem. J.R. Smith, you signed him to the extension. He's just not playing up to that. Last year, he was the 6th man of the year. This year, he would have won 10th man of the year.
Yeah.
And he's not playing well. So you got problems really all around. But it all starts with you're a superstar. Everybody looks to the superstar when things are going wrong.
Right.
Okay? So Melo, he's got to adjust, and then they can go from there. But until that happens, the Knicks they're not going anywhere. They're not. It's laughable to think that they're going to be a championship contender this year.
Absolutely. No, totally agree. So, but I can't talk about the Knicks anymore. I mean, they're a joke to talk about at this point. Even Carmel, when your star players coming out saying that you're an embarrassment in the league, you're the laughing stock. I mean, it's a joke, and no one wants to talk about them. And
Jokes and jokes and jokes.
seriously,
And
seriously.
Seriously.
But I mean, if you look at the Eastern Conference right now, it's still really, really close. You know, New York, Milwaukee, even New York, even the worst team in the league right now, the Milwaukee Bucks, 4-16. They're only 4 games out of the playoffs. That's crazy.
The East is about as bad
crazy.
as it has ever been, possibly.
And Washington, who was in 3rd last week, they're now down to 7th with a 9-11 record. They lost their last 2 games. And the only teams that really looking somewhat decent are Indiana. Indiana's looking unbelievable. I mean, they're 18-3. But Miami is looking solid. I wouldn't go beyond that. They haven't played like the greatest basketball, but they have enough superstars that they could just win games. And then Atlanta, 11-10. I think they're surprising people. I didn't think Atlanta was going to be as good as they are right now, to be honest.
Well, because the East is so bad that a mediocre team is going to look so much better. Like, I don't think Washington is a better mediocre team, and they're 9-11.
I just didn't think Atlanta would be an 11-10 team. I thought they'd be more like a 6. I thought they'd only have 6 wins on the season right now, to be honest. So I think just the whole league, especially in the East, has been really messed up. And then, of course, Chicago losing Derrick Rose, though. Even when he was back playing, he wasn't looking like his old self. I mean, there were glimpses here and there, but he wasn't the same. I think you saw that. And then just to get injured the first 10 games of the season was a blow for the Bulls. And now they're talking about possibly signing DJ Augustine, which wouldn't hurt at all. They just need point guard help.
They need point guard help. Here's the thing about the East and the West. If you look at the East, you've got 5 teams in the East that have a losing record that are in the playoffs right now.
Yeah.
5 teams with a losing record are in the playoffs. If you go to the West, every team has a winning record, and then there's 1 team that has a winning record that's out of the playoffs, and then 2 teams that are at 500 and not in the playoffs.
Right.
So if you take, Portland tweeted, I believe, last week sometime, is it too late to switch conferences, asking for a friend? As a joke. Because it's such a joke. If Portland is in the East at 18-4, they'd be either tied for first or like a half game out of first. I don't know how the math would work, but that they're in first in the West. But in the East, they'd have such a wide margin between first and 8th that they'd probably clinch tomorrow. I mean, it's crazy. It's so crazy, the disparity between the leagues. And Adam Silva, who's going to be taking over for David Stern, spoke about this, I believe, on the NBA's new Sirius channel. About the divisions, and he said they may have served their purpose, but it may be like out of date. And it is. When you look at standings, do you look at division standings or conference standings? I mean, nobody looks at division standings. You think I care that Boston is the Atlantic division leader?
No.
No. Who cares about that? Like, why do you don't need these divisions anymore. I think that they serve their purpose.
Right.
They need to figure out a new kind of system in all of this, because having divisions doesn't matter. For the Knicks to be 5-14 and only 3.5 games out of first, and remember, division leaders, they get an automatic bid into the playoffs, right? If you win your division.
Yeah.
So if New York is 5-14, you're telling me they're only 3.5 games out of the playoffs right now?
Yeah.
5-14 record?
Crazy.
That is a joke.
They got
Absolute joke.
Look.
So I think I'm way on board with Adam Silva, and they need to come up with some type of new system here.
Yeah, and I'm sure they will. I'm sure something's going to change, but as of right now, this is what they're dealing with. They're not going to make any change this season, that's for sure. I mean, I don't think you can. I don't think you could just all of a sudden not make divisions and, it is what it is. I don't think they could do that. But next season, I think we'll see a different look. I think it's just smarter to do 2 conferences. Isn't that what isn't that what the other sports do anyway? Football does it, right? Football does 2 conferences, so.
Well, no, they have the same kind of thing. It's like the NFC East, the NFC South, the NFC. No, they have 4 divisions
they have
in the
4
NFC
divisions.
and 4
Okay.
divisions in the AFC.
But still, the NBA's got 6 divisions.
But they have wild card spots as opposed to 8 teams make the playoffs. They have the division leaders make the playoffs.
Do you like the wild?
Do
Do you like the wild card spot? Do you like that rule?
Yeah, because anybody can get in it's on record, and it doesn't have anything to do with division. It doesn't matter what division you're in. It's whoever has the better record from wherever you're at.
Right.
And I just think, and the hockey actually has an interesting one. They go by points. Like a win is 2 points.
Right.
A draw is 1 point. So you got like Boston, who's in the Eastern Conference in the NHL. They got 42 points. If there was a point system, maybe they can work out something like that. I don't know. Better minds than mine have to come up with the system. But NBA divisions have definitely served their purpose.
All right. Well, actually, while we're talking about divisions and conferences, I'm looking at Charlotte in the East right now, 10-11. Charlotte is 10-11. And I know we said the East is bad, but hey, at least they know they're keeping this coach for a little while. They'd have to keep him just for a little while. You can't just get rid of this guy. So
Patrick Ewing on the staff, yo.
Hey,
Patrick Ewing on the staff.
Al Jefferson was a good free agent signing for them. He's still the best player they've had in years. So I don't look. I still think it is early in the season. I think teams will eventually go to their rightful spots where they should be playing. But right now, it just looks ugly. And then if you look at the West, it's just completely opposite. I mean, everybody's got pretty solid records here. The worst team in the West has a better record than the third best team in the East.
That's what I'm saying. If Portland was in the East, they'd have like an 18-game lead over the next team.
The Phoenix Suns, surprise, are 11-9. They're 11-9. The Phoenix Suns, huge surprise this season. In the West, the Phoenix Suns are doing this. I'm impressed. Because in the East, the Phoenix Suns would be a top team right now. So I'm impressed.
Hey, teams are figuring it out. You've got to go through the rebuilding process. Houston went through the rebuilding process. Right. And then they slowly, every year, acquired a player, trade, draft. The Houston Rockets went from nowhere to having Dwight Howard and Chandler Parsons. And look, it's a mix, right? Chandler Parsons is their guy. James Harden they brought in.
Right.
Dwight Howard. They signed Dwight Howard. They traded for Harden, and they drafted Parsons. It takes time. You're not going to build a championship contender overnight unless you have LeBron, Bosh, and Wade come together and be like, "Yo, we're all going to play together." It doesn't work like that. You got to go through a process, and it's hard and it's long, and the fans have to understand it. But the Knicks and the Nets, they didn't do that. Right? They tried to buy up all the real estate and go from there.
Right.
They tried to spend all the money and use that as a launching point. But the Bulls, same thing. They brought in Boozer in free agency. They had Deng and Rose. They drafted Rose. It's a process. You got to go through those steps. Trying to put together a championship contender overnight by buying up players doesn't work. See, the Kings are on that step. They traded for Rudy Gay. They have DeMarcus Cousins and Isaiah Thomas. Next year, maybe they'll get another piece. Next year, maybe they'll be a legit contender in the West.
Right.
It's the process.
You talk about Rudy Gay, and I watched the Kings play the Mavericks last night. Rudy Gay was obviously watching that game. But, I watched the Mavericks. The Mavericks are having a great season. They're surprising a lot of people. I didn't think they'd be as good as they are. And I really wanted to bring this up. Dirk's a great player. Love Dirk Nowitzki. All right, he is. He's a great, great player. But I got to tell you, he reminds me so much of Carmelo Anthony, or vice versa, because he isolates the ball. He takes a fadeaway jump shot. Yeah, he hits it a lot of times, but last night he missed every shot. I mean, for everybody that knocks Carmelo Anthony for being a ball hog, for just, stopping the flow, I got news for you. Dirk is a very similar player. And I don't know if it's, how both of the players carry themselves on and off the court. But it really bothers me for people that just don't like Melo and like Dirk, because I see so many similarities between the two of them, despite that Dirk's actually a worse rebounder than Carmelo Anthony. He doesn't grab as many boards as Carmelo. And
it's a fair comparison that you're making, though.
I mean, I don't think it is, because Dirk's got some good talent around him, and they're winning. If the Knicks are winning, everyone's talking about Carmelo being so good.
That's what I said last year. It was the same thing, but the Knicks were winning, so nobody cared.
Right. I know winning solves everything. It's a different story. I know winning solves everything. But Melo's always been on a team that, except for this season, obviously, Melo's always been on a team that wins at least high 40s or 50-something games a season, even with Denver. So No, I'm just saying, everyone's knocking Carmelo, and it's like, listen, Dirk's the same player. The Mavs are winning right now. Dirk's the same player. How could you say he's not? They both don't play defense. They both just score the ball. They both isolate. It's not like I don't see. I watched Dirk do it like 9 times last night.
The ball doesn't die when it touches Dirk's hands. The ball does not die when it touches Dirk's hands.
It does die. I watched it die 9 times last night. It died.
And second of all, who has a championship ring and who doesn't?
Look. That's fair. Fine. You want
if you
go
have a
there,
championship ring, then you can start waving your finger and saying, "Listen, look what I got here from doing what I do." Melo has never even been at it. What? He went to the Western Conference Finals 1 year. Melo in Denver.
Yeah.
He's never even been to the finals. So his style of play, while it may get you 50 wins in a season, it obviously doesn't translate well in the postseason. But Dirk's, it does, because they won a championship.
Well, they won a championship because of other guys. They didn't just win it because of Dirk.
And they went to another finals that they lost.
I'm saying both their games are similar. I just look. You go for wins and losses. Yeah, Look, Melo's teams. I mean, the West. It was close every year. The West, their games came down to the last part of the season where it was such a tight race. You know, if Melo won one more game, he could have been playing other teams in the playoffs. You know, Dirk's team won that extra game, but their records were so close. The team's records were so close.
But it doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. And you want to know something else? Their team records are so close. Guess what? Carmelo Anthony on the Knicks gets to play in the Eastern Conference, and they can't win games. Dirk Nowitzki, look at how old Dirk is, and look at where Melo is, right? Dirk is nearing retirement.
Right.
And he is still putting up similar numbers to Carmelo. Is that what you're telling me?
And Melo's going to be doing the same thing at Dirk's age. It's not going to change.
But Dirk is winning, and Melo is not, and that's the whole thing. You say everybody's
Melo might be leaving because he's not winning.
Wait. You're saying everybody's criticizing Melo, but it's not fair because him and Dirk have the same game. And if they do, fine. But Dirk is winning and Melo's not.
Right.
So obviously what Dirk is doing.
But last season there were people going, last season when the Knicks were playing great, all right, and granted in the playoffs, the team around them was not playing well. No one on the Knicks is playing well in the playoffs at all last season. Against J.R. Smith was having a nightmare, nightmare of postseason. There was no other scorer other than Melo. So you were gonna, Dirk had other guys. Dirk had Jason Kidd at a younger age. Dirk had Tyson Chandler at a younger age, who was very effective and healthy.
Are you saying that the Mavericks
ring.
had a better team than the Knicks?
Not last season.
What you're saying? Because they both had Tyson Chandler. And they both had Tyson Chandler. Both teams. It's the same guy.
Right.
And Melo had a whole team around him also. It's not like. But
I'm saying the team on Dirk's team didn't fall apart like the Knicks team. And I don't blame Melo for that. I don't blame Melo. How do you blame Melo for J.R. Smith?
They got beat down. Nobody fell apart. They just got beat by
They didn't hit shots. You watch. J.R. Smith couldn't hit one shot.
It has nothing to do with the Pacers' defense?
It had nothing to do with the fact that J.R. Smith had fluid in his knee and couldn't hit one shot. Guy was this your second best scorer, last season. Had no shot. He didn't hit anything. He didn't even play one game. He got suspended.
You do realize that Dirk was playing with no superstars on his team, right? He had no other superstar on that team.
Okay, so either did Melo.
Okay, so then there you go. They both had a team full of very good pieces around them.
But the pieces around Dirk were winning. Tyson Chandler was half injured last season. He had a bulging neck disc injury he was playing with.
You're telling me that the Mavs in the finals, after playing a whole season and going through the playoffs, were all 100% healthy during the finals?
They clearly looked a lot healthy. Look, Tyson Chandler on the Mavericks looked a lot healthier than what he did for the Knicks in the playoffs.
And at the end of the day, it's wins and losses. If you want to say they have a similar game, fine. If he's not winning, then it's not
Totally agree. But if you're looking at the two players just individually, they're the same to me. Dirk's a black hole just like Carmelo Anthony.
His black hole, it sucks in championships. Melo's doesn't.
You mean vice versa?
No, Melo's black hole. No, Dirk sucked in the championship. He won a championship, and he went to the finals twice.
Well, I mean,
numbers don't lie, man. 2 finals. Look, if Melo got the Knicks to the finals last year, maybe we'd be having a different conversation. But he didn't even get it out of the second round.
No,
so
but he didn't have a team helping him. He didn't have a team helping him. Dirk had players on his team like Jason Terry, who was hitting shot after shot after shot.
You can play that song until cows come home. Dirk
And the
2
cows
finals
will come
appearances,
home, and I'm still
Melo
gonna be
0.
playing the
Dirk
song.
1 championship ring, Melo 0.
I'm just saying.
Case closed.
Case closed, case open. What are you saying? Case closed. All right.
It's closed.
No, case is not closed.
Closed.
It's
Sorry.
not closed. All right. Because Melo, look, Dirk's gonna retire. Melo's gonna get a ring wherever he goes. He's gonna get a ring before he retires. I know that's gonna happen. All right, it's going to happen. But
You do realize that Melo was on a Denver team, talent-wise, that was light years beyond the Dallas Mavericks team, and he still couldn't win a ring there. You realize that?
I mean, you're talking about Nene being like. Are you saying Nene is a better center than Tyson Chandler?
You have Nene. You had Andre Miller was on that team. Allen Iverson was on that. Allen Iverson was on the team, for gosh sakes.
Right.
That's a superstar, right? I
Right.
mean, and he was not at the decline of his career. When he first went there, he was still at one of the top players in the league.
Look.
Everybody was like, holy geez, Melo and AI.
Look, the Knicks
They
tried
had a team that was light years ahead of
the
of
Knicks
Dallas
put
in terms
together
of
a
talent.
team trying to look like what the Mavericks did against the Heat in the finals. They tried to put a team around Melo like the Mavericks did around Dirk, which I agree with. All right, I'm not going against that. You have to get a guy like Tyson Chandler. You need a center, and honestly, you need a better point guard. You know, granted they had Jason Kidd, but he did nothing. All right, he contributed. Jason Kidd did nothing in the playoffs last season. Nothing. He did absolutely nothing. You know that Jason Kidd did nothing. Jason Kidd, at least he contributed to Dirk's Mavs. At least there was contribution from him. At least Jason Terry hit shots.
You see where you're getting caught up. You are talking about comparing Dirk to Melo, and to defend Melo, you have to use that his teammates faltered in order to support your argument. You're not going based off of the player. You know,
because if I'm player for player, they're the same. That's what I'm saying.
The way you're defending him is by trashing his teammate. Who cares? The teammates have nothing to do with it because that's only 1 year. It's not like that's been his team his entire career. He's been on plenty of teams and hasn't been able to seal the deal. Forget about last year. He's been in the league 10 plus years now.
Right.
He hasn't been able to seal the deal on any team at any point. So last year's team doesn't matter because it's not like he was playing with them his whole career. He's had a ton of different teams with a ton of different talent. And Dirk was able to do it with 2 different teams. He went to the finals with one team, and then he won the championship with another. And Melo has been on a slew of different teams and hasn't even been into the finals. So you can't use his teammates as an excuse because he's had a ton of different ones. He's had plenty of time to seal the deal, and he has not been able to do it.
Yeah, but last season, he had the teammates that didn't show up.
Who cares about last season? We're talking about the 2 players as a whole.
That's my argument, though. That's my argument. Last season, all right? Last season, he had a team that didn't show up, all right? Dirk's Mavs, they showed up. They won. What did they say? They said Tyson Chandler was the reason Dirk won a championship. So how come Tyson Chandler did nothing for the Knicks? How come? How come?
Who cares about last season, though?
Because Dirk didn't win it by himself.
He been able to do it his whole career.
The Knicks asked Melo to win a championship by himself.
Excuse for his whole carear.
I'm talking about last season. What's Dirk's excuse for his whole career then? He just won one.
What? Not just. What are you talking about?
2 seasons ago. Excuse me.
3 seasons ago. The Heat repeated back to back. 3 seasons ago. That's 3 years ago. That's not just.
3 years ago. How long has he been in the league for? It's just. He's been in the league.
But he's been to the finals twice. He's been to the finals before. Melo hasn't even been to the finals. You can keep beating your drum about last season and how bad the Knicks were in the playoffs. That's fine. What is your excuse for his whole career?
My excuse
for got one. Exactly. Silence. Because it's true.
No silence.
Nowitzki has been there with a different team. He took 2 different teams to the finals. 2. Okay? 2 different teams to the finals. Right. Melo hasn't been able to take 1 team in his whole career to the finals. Durant took his team to the finals. LeBron took the Cavs. LeBron took the Cavs to the finals.
All right.
You're telling me that Cavaliers team?
All right. When Melo gets his ring, Dirk looks like nothing then. When Melo gets his ring, Dirk's nobody. No, Dirk is when Melo gets his ring, Dirk's nobody. When Melo gets it, and he will get it. And when Melo gets it, we'll come back here and I'll say, guess what? Dirk is nobody. He's nobody.
Okay. So if you want to base your argument now you're shifting your argument. If you
want because that's what you're shifting it to. You're like, Melo doesn't have a ring. Wait a minute. Melo's been on teams, he doesn't have a ring. Melo's team's been in the West, all right? Dirk's teams were, Dirk's teams, they were better than Carmelo Anthony's Denver Nuggets. I don't care how good Allen Iverson was, all right? The fact that even worked together is ridiculous, okay? Two of the same players doing the same thing on the same team, that never works out. The fact that they even went to the playoffs is impressive. But
what are you talking about? It works out every single year.
No.
Like, what are you talking about?
Carmelo Anthony and Allen Iverson, I thought alone that team was not going to win a championship. Two guys that just need the ball in their hands, all right, to score. And that point in Iverson's career, he was still doing that, just scoring the ball. Melo was scoring the ball, just isoing the two guys. There was no teamwork. It was George Karl just let those guys play. All right, they never had a coach. There was a real system that the Mavericks played with. All right, even in the last finals against the Heat, where the Mavs were there were real plays being set. It wasn't just ISO this guy, ISO that guy.
Where are you even going? You realize that in order to defend Carmelo Anthony, you've now resorted to look at the plays that were being run. It's not even. You're just like going off into a tangent that has nothing to do with anything. To defend Carmelo Anthony, you're now talking about plays that are being run.
Well,
just relax. Just relax, because
I'm not going to relax. You know why? Because you're saying that Dirk is such a great player because he won a ring, and Melo's not a great player because he doesn't have a ring, and that's ridiculous. That's stupid. That means Patrick Ewing is a terrible player also. He's not a good player. Patrick Ewing never won a ring, so he's not a good player either.
Who's saying he's not a good player? Nobody said that.
All right. Dirk Nowitzki, because he won a ring, is a better player all time over Patrick Ewing, right?
Who?
Would you say Dirk Nowitzki is a better player than Patrick Ewing because he has a ring?
I think Dirk is a better player than
Patrick
overall,
Ewing
yes.
was. Okay. All right, that's fair. Okay.
Has Dirk won an MVP? Hasn't Dirk won the MVP?
Yeah.
Did Patrick Ewing win the MVP?
No.
Okay, so point right there.
Okay.
I mean, I don't understand what we're even talking about.
All right, well,
Dirk
hey,
has
fine.
a championship and an MVP.
I take it back. Dirk is a great. He's a great, amazing player, but I still think at the end of the day, when Melo gets a ring, he's a better player than Dirk Nowitzki. That's just my opinion.
Okay, so now you're talking about.
Oh, and with or without an MVP. I'm putting that in there too.
So now you're talking about if and when. Now Melo will be better if and when. Now we're talking about.
I have to change it because of all these things that we just talked about. I guess I have to change it.
Okay, thank you.
I mean, I don't agree with you, but I'm just favoring you.
Well, you won't agree with me if you're changing your basis.
I'm just ending it because you're just really annoying to talk to about it. So I'm just I'm moving on from it. I don't agree with it, but I don't want to sit here anymore and talk about it because it's just annoying.
Okay.
So that's where I'm at.
Talk about specific plays that are being run again?
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about that?
Well, I do, because yesterday, you know what? You want to open it up again? Let's open it up again. Last night I watched Dirk ISO himself 9 or 10 times and miss every shot. Okay? Now you could tell me that he had an off game, but he does the same thing Carmelo Anthony does. That's all I'm saying. And if Dirk can win, then Melo can win too. That's all I'm saying. Dirk can win, Melo can win. So everyone hating on Carmelo because he hasn't won yet, it's bull. That's what it is. Everyone that hates Carmelo, they got to hate Dirk then the same way. Or they got to feel the same way. I don't care if he has a ring or not. They're the same friggin' player. They're exactly the same. Statistically, the way they play, the way they even alter their shots and move. They're the same player.
You realize what you said is wrong, though. It's inaccurate. You said you saw Dirk take 9 or 10 ISO plays and miss. He was 7 of 15 from the field. That's almost 50% from the field. Are you insane?
Last night's game, his ISO
He shot
plays.
7 of 15 from the field.
Yeah, did you watch the game? Did you see the shots he took? Jump shots. How he ISO'd the ball and missed.
Shot? It's 7 from 15. It's falling. Who cares what type of shot? You realize this is what you do. You see, you said he takes all these shots and misses.
Right.
And then I proved you wrong. And then all of a sudden it goes to, well, what about this, and this? It's like, look.
What about it? It's a shot. He had open layups. I mean, give me a break. Watch the game.
God.
Anytime he got the ball and ISO'd, he shot up and missed the shot. How bad did the Mavs lose last night?
How you get your points if it's a layup or a jump shot? As long as it's falling, who cares what type of shot it is?
All right, well, I'm just saying they're the same player. That's all I'm saying. I watched them. They're the same.
They're not the same when you take into a fact that some guy has an MVP and a championship and the other guy's got nothing.
No, they're not the same in that, but they're the same player. They have the same exact game. Yeah, they do.
That's interesting. Dirk had 7 assists also last night. You gonna say what are you gonna say about that?
Carmelo had 5 the other night. Big deal. They're the same player. That's what I'm saying.
Is 7 and 5?
How many
the same-
rebounds did he
the same
have?
Number, or does 7 more than 5? I don't know.
How many rebounds did
I didn't
Dirk
catch math.
have?
but
What
I
about
think
Melo when he has
7
12
more than 5.
rebounds? What about that? They're the same player. They do the same thing on the floor.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying.
Okay. It seems to me that what Dirk is doing is working because they're winning.
They
and
are
what Melo
winning.
Is doing,
They weren't winning last year, and everyone go, "Oh, well, Dirk was injured." Oh, well, Melo was injured too, but he was still playing. He was putting up numbers. He had an elbow injury the whole season. How good did Melo shoot last season?
you realize that there's a difference between what you do in the season and what you do in the postseason. You're
Oh my
aware of that,
God.
right?
So now we're going to the postseason.
No.
In
But I'm
general.
just saying you're
All
aware.
I'm saying is they're the same player. Okay, I don't care about who has
But
rings.
obviously they're not. If what Dirk is doing works and what Melo does doesn't, right? I mean, what Melo is doing in the playoff, right? Like it works in the season, right? And that's cool. Like you can amass all the numbers you want, right? And that's great. You can win the scoring title. That's great. But you're a Knicks fan. Do you want to see Melo win a scoring title, or do you want to see the Knicks win a championship?
I'd like to see the Knicks win a championship, obviously.
Okay. So what Melo is doing in the season and what Dirk is doing in the season, right? It's the same, and you're saying they're the same player. But obviously, if what Dirk is doing gets a championship and what Melo is doing doesn't, it's not really the same. It looks the same, maybe, and it seems the same,
Right.
but it's obviously not because what Dirk is doing got him a championship, and
Right.
what Melo is doing hasn't. And
All
they've
right.
both been in the league for 10-plus years. So it's not like you can say, well, he needs a different team around him. No, he's had plenty of time.
All right.
Had all these guys.
All right, look, we gotta move on here. Okay,
All right.
we gotta play this game because we've been debating about the Dirk Melo thing for like 15 minutes, and I'm sorry I brought it up, but I can't help it. You gotta back Melo. All right, as a fan, I'm backing Melo. So all right, so we're waiting for our buddy here to call into the show, but and play this game that we put together, which is gonna be fun. Actually, it should be fun.
What is the game?
Well, we decided to call it for now, Where's He At? Okay? And I'll let him break it down for you when he decides to call in. And we're waiting for him to call in. And we're still waiting. We're still waiting.
Why don't you just break it down then if he's not here?
Yeah, because then he's going to call in and then all right. So, so our buddy Dave's going to call into the show, give a bunch of names, and we're going to decide if they actually play in the NBA or if they don't even exist at all and it was just made up. Something like that. And, oh, here he is now calling. And Dave, all right, break this down for us.
Yeah. All right. So the point of this is to see just your knowledge of players. What I did was put together a list of players, very obscure players you've probably never heard of. I've never heard of them. And mixed in with them is some reality stars, and you have to figure out which one of these people are actual NBA players.
Okay.
All right.
All right, let's do it.
Yeah. So, I'm calling this game. What did we decide to call this game? I forget.
Where's he at? Let's just start the game.
Where's she at? Okay. The first one is Festus Ezeli. Where's he at?
He's in the NBA.
Golden State.
He is. He is the center for the Warriors. Okay. So
It's gonna be easier than I
Ogden Kuznick. Where's he at?
What's his name?
I believe it's Ogden Kuznick.
Anjan,
He is in the NBA.
yeah, he definitely is in the NBA, but I don't know what.
He is. He is another center for the Warriors.
All right. Golden State.
Well, one for two. Not bad. Hans Gruber.
He's not in the NBA.
I agree, not in the NBA.
He is not. He is the main bad guy from Die Hard. Patty Stanger.
I'm gonna say no. No, you know what? I kind of want to say yes.
No, he's not in the NBA.
No.
No. It's actually. Have you ever watched the show The Millionaire Matchmaker?
Oh, that's how I
actually-
know it. That's
it-
that's who it is. I'm thinking like Patty Mills. That's how I know her. Millionaire Matchmaker. That's her show.
You got my next one, though. You got my next one. My next one was Patty Mills.
Oh, there you go. I just said it.
There was a theme here.
Okay.
So then, since we'll go with the theme, Patti LaBelle.
No.
Patti LaBelle is a singer.
She's actually a Grammy Award-winning singer.
Do you not know who Patti LaBelle is?
I said no.
Oh, I thought you meant like you don't know who she is.
No, I said no.
All right. Let's go Gal Meckel. I believe that's how you
Oh,
pronounce
he's
it.
definitely in the NBA. He's on Dallas, I think.
He is. He's a guard on the Mavericks.
Yeah. Who's getting some points?
What about Gal Gadot?
No, she's the Wonder Woman.
Is she? I know
Yeah,
she.
she got cast for Wonder Woman.
You
You
are
don't know?
correct, and
What do you mean
I
you
have
don't
her
know,
as
Dave?
a model/actress.
You're
Yeah, she got cast for Wonder Woman in the new Ben Affleck Superman Batman movie.
You put the
Wow,
list together.
that is impressive. That is impressive.
All right, who else we got here?
Denarius Moore.
Denarius Moore is a receiver for the Raiders.
He is. What about Etwan Moore?
Yes.
Etwan Moore is in the NBA on Etwan Moore, where are you? Milwaukee, right? No.
No, he's on the Magic right now.
Yeah,
That's right.
damn it.
That's right. We just watched him play. Yep. All right.
All right.
What's the score?
Etwan Moore also went to Purdue, by the way. Just saying.
What's the score here? We got one wrong so far?
Yeah, you're doing really well. I think the one you got wrong is Patty Stenger. Kent Bazemore. Where's
Yes.
he at?
Yes, he's in the NBA.
Golden State Warriors.
Yes.
He is. A lot of Warriors players on this list.
Yeah.
Going with the same theme, Kent Shamrock.
No.
Ken Shamrock is a wrestler and a
Nope.
UFC fighter.
Very good. Damn, did you see my list?
No, man. I'm just
Ellis Boyd Redding.
Floyd Redding?
Ellis Boyd Redding.
Ellis
No,
Boyd Redding.
I don't think so.
That one I don't know.
You're not Shawshank Redemption fans. That is Red from Shawshank Redemption.
That was a good movie, though.
He was, that's Morgan Freeman's character.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, now we get into the fun names. Hamadi Ndiaye.
Yes.
Where's he at?
He's a freak.
Hamadi?
He's a freak. Oh, am I thinking Hamed Hadaidi?
Yeah, that's who you're thinking
I think
of.
no, Hamadi Hadaidi. He is in the NBA.
That's
He
not the
is.
guy he said.
No, don't. I know. I bet you I get this team too. Don't say anything. This guy is on the. Oh wait. I
He's on
almost-
the. I'm just telling you, he's on the Kings.
I was just gonna say the Kings.
All right.
It's fair.
Gigi Datome.
No.
I have no idea.
No.
You have no idea. He's
No.
on the Pistons, actually. He's
All
a
right,
forward
he is
on
in the
Pistons.
NBA. We got two wrong.
Oh, I know. Never mind.
I believe his real name is Luigi Datome.
Yeah.
All right, let's go. Let's.
All right. I'm skipping some. Let's go. Carl Landry.
Yes.
Yes. Tom Landry.
No.
Oh, yeah. Of course.
No.
He's an actor, right?
No, Tom Landry's the coach, the old coach for the Cowboys.
Oh, coach. Oh, my bad. Yes.
I had to throw my Cowboys in there.
But we knew he wasn't in the NBA, so that's a point
Correct.
or something.
I'll count that. Alexei Shved.
Yes, Timberwolves.
Yeah, Timberwolves.
Luke Maute.
Yep, the Timberwolves.
Yeah.
Timberwolves again. Michael Humanawinui.
No.
No, he's actually a tight end for the Patriots.
Yeah.
There you
All right, Ekpe Udo.
Yep, he's on the Milwaukee Bucks.
Yeah, he's on the Bucks.
Jeez. And I'm going to finish it with this one, and I'm finishing on this one because I just love saying his name.
All right.
And I'm going to do my best Scott Van Pelt impression. Nando DiColo.
No.
Nando Dakota?
Nando Dakota.
Oh, Nando. Yeah, he's in the NBA.
Where's he at?
Shoot. Where does Nando play?
Utah.
Oh.
No.
I don't know.
Antonio?
He's on the Spurs.
He is on the Spurs. He got it. All right, fair enough. All right.
Wow. I am very impressed.
Oh, that's great. We impressed Dave. That's impressive.
I'm very impressed.
All right, Dave, we're going to wrap up the show here. Dave Berman, everybody.
Dave
I wish we had some
Berman.
applause.
Thanks for having me on the show, guys.
Yeah, we'll see you next week for our next game
right.
segment.
Yeah.
All right, take care, Dave.
See you.
All right. Hey, Kyle, that's pretty even. We were pretty solid.
Oh, yeah.
That's pretty good. All right, we got to wrap up the show here.
Wrap it up.
Wrapping it up. Still wrapping it up. There we go.
Want to hear the music? There it is.
Got it. That was fun. I like that segment. Where's he at? Let's see next week what it's going to be. All right. Heated debate. Mello, Dirk, a little unexpected. Steven Jackson is with the Clippers. Just wanted to touch on that. DJ Augustine could be headed to Chicago. Wanted to touch on that.
And Kobe Bryant, welcome back.
Kobe Bryant, welcome back. Oh, we didn't play the video. Oh, that's what happens. When you're talking hoops, you're talking heated debates. Until next time, for AJ, Kyle, Mark Strickland, you owe us another one. Get back here, man. We need you. We'll catch you guys on the rebound.
Until Talkin Hoops comes back into play, stay connected by getting at us on iTunes. Keep up to date with all the latest basketball news and rumors and check out all our shows by logging on to talkinghoops.com.
Catch you on the rebound.